New tonight at 11, Georgians so far are reluctant to get the COVID-19 shots. Barely 40% are fully vaccinated, but more hospitals are requiring employees to be fully vaccinated or they'll be fired. As John Sherrick explains, two Georgia hospital groups are mandating vaccinations with very few exemptions.
Atlanta-based Piedmont Healthcare, with its 11 hospitals, announcing that it's now beginning to require all employees, all 23,000 employees, to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. No employee can refuse, with few exceptions. Only one other hospital group in Georgia so far, St. Mary's Healthcare System, is requiring employees to be vaccinated. In Texas a month ago, protests when Houston Methodist became the first hospital in the nation to require staff to get the COVID-19 vaccines. And about 150 employees refused out of 24,000, and they lost their jobs, including a veteran registered nurse, Jennifer Bridges, who doesn't believe the vaccines are proven safe. She said none of her patients ever asked her if she's vaccinated.
Never did they care if I was vaccinated. And we all wear proper PPE anyway, so vaccinated or not, we're not going to spread anything.
But a federal judge in Houston ruled that the hospital does have the right to mandate the vaccinations and fire the protesters, setting a legal precedent. Still, 2 weeks ago, Georgia Health News reported that nationwide, a disturbing number of hospital workers is still unvaccinated based on federal data. 1 in every 4 on average has not gotten the shots. Refusing is less and less of an option for them. According to Becker's Hospital Review, as of Tuesday night, 31 hospitals and health systems in the U.S. are now requiring employees to be vaccinated, with some exemptions. More added to the list every day, the pressure increasing on healthcare worker holdouts to get the shots or get other jobs.